His name is Daystar Peterson.
Man, look, what's good, everybody? We are now live with Black People Be Knowing. I'm your host, CJ Lawrence, Esquire, and I'm here with Sue Ann Robinson, aka not just a lawyer, and
So,
Cirilo Manego. And yeah, we're here today to talk to you all once again about the Tory Lanez trial, Daystar Peterson, as Sue Ann was highlighting. Before we get started, how y'all doing today?
Good, just trying to get through another crazy, hectic Monday.
Yeah,
And, trying to find out who shot Meg. Who shot Big
man, who
Meg?
shot you, man? Like it's the shit is crazy, man. I didn't anticipate this becoming a who done it because at first it was nobody shot her. You know what I mean? That was the defense was you didn't get shot, and now the defense is
Right,
who shot you. So
right.
I just wanna say, if y'all wondering what the hell I'm doing back here, everybody, out there while I'm moving around, I'm cooking, man. I gotta go back to the crib to New Orleans today. I'm getting rid of everything in my fridge. I got a big old powwow in the kitchen. So, but we gonna get this work in. We gonna be telling y'all all this legal announcement about what's going on with this case. So glad to have my sister Sue Ann Robertson on the line with us, man. If
right,
y'all haven't checked this out on Crime TV, man, check it out. She be on there. Attorney down there in Florida. Mama
real live trial
aficionado,
attorney.
real live, real live. So you got two trial attorneys, not me, right? I ain't no trial attorney. But you got two on this line. So anything you hear from us, especially these two people to my left and in the bottom of the screen, certified. All right. So I don't
Oh
want y'all to
shit,
get no.
man.
I don't want y'all thinking this is no fly by night shit. Y'all that came up here and ran up on some black folks that ain't got a Google law degree. No, we went to school for this
Well,
shit.
we
Man,
got
All right.
real
So just
point.
shit, they out there. They out there abundantly right now on the Twitter. They are out there, and I don't know, man. I've seen so many
I'm about
wild
to check on my chicken.
wild things. So before with that being said, Suan, look, I kind of want to recap what took
Okay.
place last week, if you'd like to. If you could just give, um, if you could just set the scene of what took place last week, particularly with the testimony of Kelsey, and if you want to, you can also touch on some of the, um, I guess, the first witnesses that came in for the defense as well.
Cool. So we all know we're talking about Tory Lane's assault trial. He's only been charged with assault. He hasn't been charged with attempted murder. It's an assault case. Um, Tory Lane's real name is Daystar Peterson. So if you're trying to look up stuff, it'll definitely come up under Tory Lane's. But if you want official court documents vibes, then you got to look under Daystar Peterson. Megan's real name is Megan Pete. This all stems from an incident that happened July 12, 2020, when we were at the height of, George Floyd protests, COVID, all this craziness, and this allegedly popped off after a party or a gathering rather that was at Kylie Jenner's house. They're going home, and the driver is in the car. Tory Lanez is in the car. Kelsey's in the car, and Tory's in the car, and they get into some sort of disagreement. Megan hops out the car or is ordered out of the car, and then Tory Lane supposedly shoots her. So, and Kelsey's there obviously as a witness. I don't understand where the driver is, but that's the story for another day.
Listen, what
Um,
like
I'm,
what the fuck he at? Like where he go? Like I
I'm like, is
mean,
he black?
bruh,
Cause he gone. What's
I mean,
going
Hey
on?
man, when I was reading that article, bro, you sent recently about Kelsey's, they was kind of recapping the video, and then
yeah.
Kelsey was like, "Yeah, so they had to drive in the car, right? So I'm picturing Buddy driving. Tory
Hmm.
Lane's like, man, get y'all, been trying to put both of them out the car, right? What up, Chuck, baby? And then and then Tory out here shooting across. He in one seat, shooting across at Megan's feet from the other side, talking about dance be dance. Bro,
Yeah.
what the hell, bro? Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
come on,
man.
yeah,
man.
his Harlem Nights trying to reenact Harlem Nights, but
Right.
again, he's
But
from
now,
Canada, so I don't even know. Like, I don't know any Black Canadians other than him and Drake. So it's
Well,
like
I
it's
used
hard
to
for me.
live in Toronto.
Okay,
I met a lot of black Canadians when I was up
what,
there. I had a
was
good
y'all
time in
watching
Toronto.
Harlem Nights?
We
Because
did
I'm
not
like,
yo,
we did not watch Harlem Nights. We was
can I
eating
just
mostly
say something?
Caribbean food most of the time.
That sound about right. And the Harlem Night, I ain't gonna lie, I want to laugh when you say that, did not say, but I know we trying to come with a sense of like, you know, care and understanding. But I ain't gonna lie though, dog. I can't think about this. Motherfucker that shot me in my toe. Nigga that
Yeah, right,
that
like,
shot me in my toe.
and like,
I
so I'm
mean,
go ahead, go ahead, Sue.
when she said the thing about that's what he said to her, it sets the scene for the people that know the movie.
Right,
Because you're
facts,
like, oh, this ain't no type of like fun situation. This is one of those situations where a joke is being told, but we're not joking.
right. That's facts. I mean, like,
So
and I think that's the thing that ha- has escaped a lot of people is they kind of see her injuries or trauma as benign because of where she was shot. Some people have even been saying, "Oh, she wasn't shot because the bullets bounced off the ground and then they entered her foot." I'm like, "Well, look, if a bullet enters your body, if pieces of a bullet enters your body, then you were shot." And so that's the thing that is important for uh, lay people to understand about this situation. Is she was absolutely shot. According to her account of things, she was shot at least 5 times. The doctor stated on when he the surgeon testified that he removed metal fragments from both of her feet, at least two metal fragments from both of her feet, from my understanding. And so, like someone really shot Megan, and it's it's my belief that that someone is Tory, and that as more evidence is presented at trial, um, it's becoming clearer and clearer that it was in fact Tory. Let's talk about Kelsey a little bit. Like I mean, we Cirilo and I talked about Kelsey some last week, but we didn't get the Sue Ann treatment to Kelsey. Like I really like. Come on, Kelsey. Like
first of all, the assistant best friend thing don't never work.
man,
Okay? Like, no. You're either the assistant or you are someone's best friend. You cannot pay your best friend to hang around with you. That's not really your best friend. That's your employee. So
yes,
it's always going to be issues and static. And then Kelsey is married to the president of the record label that Megan said is trying to mess up her bread and gave her a terrible contract.
but so she's married to him.
Yes, I'm like,
I did not know that part. Like
who's your
that's
best
news to me.
friend or who's
Yeah, like
what's going on here?
yeah,
Okay,
that's yeah.
all that aside, Kelsey comes on the stand and basically is saying, Tori did shoot Megan, but low key insinuating like it's Megan's fault because Megan was being staticky at the event that they were at, and Megan was kind of, antagonizing Tori by calling him, saying that he's not a good rapper and causing issues
She called his music
between
trash.
them. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
she said. So
Man, that
Kelsey,
boy weak. That boy weak, man. How you get mad at
you
somebody say your
know,
music trash? Your music trash though. I mean, let's be honest here. Your music ain't that good. Like you
He had a
not
spark.
really.
He had a spark when he started. But yeah,
he
I
got a
mean,
little something,
I'm gonna tell you
but it's
something right
gone
now, bro.
now.
Yeah, bro. He ain't a spark. I mean, that bit was like a little. You know what I'm saying? Like he lit that bit in the Arctic
He
Circle.
should
That
have
bit
zipped
feel
a
like a little,
lighter.
a little.
look, listen to me though. I mean, it's the fact that he has so many. I don't want to. I mean, like his followers are different. Like
Mm,
they ready to ride for Tory. Like I mean, to the point of absurdity. Like to the point where they aren't even considering facts when those facts are being presented as facts. Um, when things are occurring, like a surgeon saying metal is being pulled out of Megan's foot, things like an eyewitness Megan or other victim Megan, and another eyewitness Kelsey saying, you know, Tory shot at Megan. Tory offered us $1 million. For us, these are things that are being completely dismissed by those who are many who are in support of Tory, or of the belief that he's either innocent or, in the alternative, should at least be found not guilty, which is distinguishable. Um, and you know, I'm just wondering if do you feel like that perspective is a perspective that is shared uh with jurors who may be sitting at trial?
What I think is happening now is that the court of public opinion is absolutely confusing the evidence that's going to be introduced in trial in the actual court case and the evidence that was on the streets. Like, yeah, Tory made a song, and in the song he was like, "How you going to identify me if you got shot from behind?" and whatever he wanted his defense to be, and that's fine. I personally would not permit my client to comment on a pending matter, but hey, he did
Right.
it. So
Mhm.
I feel like people are confusing his story and what he rapped about with the actual facts, number one. And number two, Megan initially gave an account to the police and then subsequently did a interview with Gail King
Mhm.
and said, and there were some contradictions in what she said. And so she's trying to explain why there were contradictions, why she initially told the police, hey, I said there was glass in my foot because I didn't want to be a snitch because police was
Mhm.
out here killing black men. I
Right.
think that's a very solid reason to
Mhm.
lie. I think we're so far from that time that we don't, it's not resonating. Like
Mhm.
people are not understanding that at that time we were like practically in a police state. There were riots going on. It was really bad. There
Right.
was essentially like almost like a civil war happening. And
Right.
so for
On top of
her
the
to
pandemic.
and a pandemic. So it's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want him to go into the jail and possibly get COVID. No, I don't want to deal with these police because they might do something crazy. Let me just get us out of here. I'm, obviously speculating that's her mindset, but I don't think we're accepting it now because we're in a different time spatially. So it's like, oh, what she mean? Oh, she just lied because of George Floyd. What George Floyd got to do with it? But
Yeah.
it's like if we could go back in time, I think people would be like, okay, I get
S-
it because it was so much tension at
You
that
know
time.
what, Suan? I think what you just said makes a lot of sense, though, especially when you see the video of Megan stepping out of the car. Megan is virtually she's in a swimsuit. And the videos that I've seen is blurred out. She was in a swimsuit. I think they were having like a s- a I won't call it a pool party, but like a get together at
Mhm.
Kylie Jenner's house, and people were in their swim attire. Megan was from police are like screaming from a helicopter with the spotlight down on her, yelling at her to hold her hands up, spread her legs, get on the ground, lay on her belly. So she's literally now imagine 2020 being Megan the Stallion, being standing nude on the street with your hands up while the police are yelling at you in that moment, and the thoughts that would be going through your mind. Imagine being anyone in 2020 in that moment. And I was scared for her, even though I knew she was gonna survive that moment. I was watching that video yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was scared like it was like I was watching it in real time. Like my heart was beating fast for her, hoping that nothing would happen to her.
Mhm.
Uh, and then Kelsey gets out of the car. They tell her to get on the ground, open her arms, and they tell her to spread her legs ridiculously wide. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, and she's also in swimsuit or something like that. And I
Yeah.
believe it was Tory laying to the left of both of them on the ground. And so when you consider that and what type of adrenaline or emotions might have been running through her as someone was firing shots at her, and an experience that I'm sure she didn't imagine taking place when she went out that night, then I could definitely understand why she was of the mindset of like, look, at this point, I just want all of us to survive this situation. Even though I've been wronged, I just want to, at least at the very least, get out of this situation, survive to another day. Um,
Mhm.
so I want to talk to you. You know, you've been on both sides as a trial attorney. I want to talk to you um about the defense attorney's approach and the
Okay.
fact and his willingness to open up the scope of the redirect by focusing or attempting to cross Kelsey on the September tapes rather than focusing on her inconsistencies in the statements of today. What did you think about that approach? And do you think that was a damning approach to take?
I think the idea is to create, mess. I call it the spaghetti against the wall strategy. Just try to create a mess and then see if the jury sorts it out in your favor. I don't think it's the best strategy. I personally wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
But, it's very tough to watch because you're like, that doesn't seem like that's going to get you where you need to be in the end, which is the elements for assault. Um, I think Kelsey going in there and kind of being staccato and kind of not just being a willing participant in her testimony is going to send certain signals to the jury. But I think that's her point. And that's why everybody's speculating, oh, she must have got the money because look how she's testifying, et cetera. Look what's
Mhm.
going on because she's not just going in there and basically testifying to defend her friend. She's going in there and she's saying, I plead the fifth, I want immunity, like different things that are signaling, like, girl, what is going on with you? What, I
Right,
mean, if you was at a shooting and somebody got shot, then just say, yeah, Tory shot Megan. Let's move on. What do you need immunity for? What are you pleading the fifth for? So I think she's just in a mode where she's trying to protect herself. I mean, think about it.
right.
Kelsey is not on trial and she has her own attorneys there.
Yes. That I mean, like, right. And then I mean, like, and the idea that Tory's people are willing to put it on you, like they willing to put it in your hands. Anything to, they're willing. They're who done it defense, which I'm like you. In all my years, I don't think that there's ever been a good defense. The let me just muddy up the waters and create as much confusion as possible. Let me try to make something make sense that just doesn't make sense at all. Um, and I think certainly Kelsey's initial non-responsiveness, what to the questions that were being asked, certainly lent itself to the defense in a way that they probably wouldn't have had if she just talked to the prosecution like she did in September. But I think the defense attempting to argue down what she said in September, uh, for the purposes of furthering their position rather than just highlighting the fact that she looked like a liar today. Um, it put them in a worse position because it opened them up to the 80-minute video coming in. And now
Mm-hmm.
you take that 80-minute video coming in and you see Kelsey's hair. You hear Kelsey on that 80-minute video say, he pulled my hair. He threatened me with a gun. He dragged me. And then you see photographs of Kelsey with hair plugs missing from her hair, with bruises on her body and things like that. And September starts to sound a lot more like the truth than whatever it was that she was saying she can't remember on the
Mm-hmm.
stand uh 4 days ago. And
Right.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead.
I think it was absolutely detrimental for the defense to take that aggressive kind of manner with her and then end up, based on the rule of completeness, for the court to say, okay, just bring the video in because you want to keep talking about the video, you want to keep referring to the video, you want to keep impeaching her with statements from the video, then let's just bring the video in. I definitely don't think that the attorneys really thought that strategy through. That's why I say I wouldn't do that. Because if there was already a motion to eliminate or some ruling from the court to keep that video out, I am not talking about that video because that
Right.
video is terrible for the defense. It's also closer in time, obviously, to the actual event. And as you pointed out, she's injured and saying
Yes.
Tori's the one who injured her. So now that's giving Tory at least one injury, one person that he's on the scene, abusing and being violent towards. And so that's giving the jury, more information about Tory and his demeanor on that night.
Right.
Can I,
I mean, go ahead,
like,
Cirilo.
just playing devil's advocate here, so everybody's kind of getting all the info out there, right? With regard to Megan saying that, hey, she actually coming out her mouth, the actual victim in this case, saying that she stepped on glass, and then that also Kelsey in her testimony, right, said that she stepped on glass. Now, obviously, Kelsey said some other things too. In the very moment, we know the text message said, "Help, Tory just shot Meg," right, to the security, Texas security. Like, how, in y'all opinion, y'all trial attorneys, like, how much will that kind of factor in y'all's opinion? Because I feel like, for us, we can see clear as day that, hey, like, yeah, Meg have said one thing. We understand everything that was happening in 2020, but to your point, Suan, a little while ago, that hey, this is back in 2020. We don't have the same context in that very moment. Now, fast forward over 2 years later, it's a whole different scope and whole different ball game, and so many more people now know about it, including the jurors, right? And so, how much will all that kind of take, in y'all opinions, right, take into account, and does that, in your opinion, help the defense, or kind of doesn't really matter at this point?
I think they're going to be arguing reasonable doubt. They're going to be like, can't really believe Megan. Kelsey came in here acting crazy. So that means you got to free our guy because you can't say for certain that it was Tory. I think that's their ultimate game plan with the spaghetti defense is to create reasonable doubt in the jurors' minds so that they can say, if you have reasonable doubt, you got to acquit Tory.
Definitely will. Andre Carr asked us, can you take some time to educate the public on DNA, GSR, perjury, and the difference between reasonable doubt and a shadow of a doubt? All this misinformation from Tory's team has confused so many. Definitely, we'll talk about that. Suan, you want to touch on that? I was going to answer Cirilo's question before.
Okay,
Before,
yeah, go ahead.
so Cirilo's question, uh, with regard to Kelsey in particular, I would say that the September testimony is critical, and the text messages in conjunction with those, uh, in conjunction with the experience, is critical. In that it's essentially Kelsey's present sense impression as the things are occurring in that time frame. When you have coupled with that timeline of those two phone calls coming in from neighbors hearing gunshots and stating to police that they heard these shots, uh, I think those things coupled with Megan actually being shot lend themselves to this being more in line with what is truthful than the concept of there being someone other than Tory having fired the weapon when Tory is the one who Megan is stated, because there's no reason for Megan to say, well, there's no reason in my mind for Megan to say uh, that Tory is the one who shot me if Tory wasn't the one uh, who shot her. And there's, you know, perhaps reason for, because Kelsey is under the impression and expressed that she believed after the fact that Megan left her out to dry, essentially, by not exonerating her somehow, even though she came out live and said Tory shot me, which in my opinion, exonerates Kelsey. Uh, Kelsey today has more reason with that festering to manipulate the truth and to not be compliant than she did back in September when she didn't feel that way about Megan so and so leaving her out to dry.
I got to follow up. I got
Okay.
to. Hey, look, Miss Carl, we're gonna get to your question in 1 second. This is all kind of. I want to make sure we kind of review this because this is the question. So Andre Carl, we got you. One second. So with that being said, though, right? Do y'all think that it? I'm not so. We were obviously there for the trial. We don't know the entire testimony from Megan or the line of questioning to Megan. But presumably, though, because I don't think it really came out, um, the prosecution didn't mention, well, I don't think so. They didn't address or ask Megan like, "Hey," basically clearing up the whole glass thing, right? I really want to stick with this because, like, to me, I think asking Megan about that, like, why would you say that, and giving her an opportunity to, like, kind of like, maybe I don't know if y'all would have, but like, also, do y'all think that's something the prosecution should have done or should address before the defense gets to their turn? Kind of take away some of the bite or the sting of the defense, because I'm pretty sure based upon the spaghetti theory, right? Line of defense, just throwing a bunch of stuff out there and try to muddy the water I mean, as much as possible. Do y'all think the prosecution should just mention that in their case in chief when Megan was on the stand, or just left it alone and then if the defense brings it up, they just bring it up?
It's a risk either way because if they bring it up, then obviously it draws the juror's attention to her misrepresentation. But then at the same time, the way I was trained to be a trial attorney is give up your worst facts first. Like just get it out in front of the jury, let them know, hey, yeah, she misrepresented. This is what it was. Boom, 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 and let's all move on. So that the last thing that the jury is hearing from Megan is Tory shot me.
Yeah,
As opposed to kind of hiding it and letting the defense bring it out and possibly, who knows what motions are going to happen on the defense's case, but if they want to introduce her statement where she says that it's glass, or if they introduce her, I think our community got so focused on whether or not Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion were dating. That was
yeah,
so
that was
that is so frustrating to me. I'm like, I
mm,
don't care. Who
right.
cares? This has nothing to do with it. If they were dating, it's even worse. But
Mhm.
I could not understand why everybody was so caught up in the detail of, oh, well, Megan lied and said she wasn't messing with Tory, but she was messing with Tory, and she's supposed to be, telling everybody the truth because she's so free with her sexuality. So why she got to
Oh
lie
my
about Tory?
God,
I was like, is
motherfuckers be
Megan on
nosy.
trial for
Motherfuckers
lying
be
on a body
nosy.
count, or is
Listen,
Tory on trial for shooting Megan? What we
right?
got
I
going?
mean, and I guess to come to piggyback off of what you're saying, like the fact that there were people who were more outraged by the idea of that being a possibility than being outraged that this is a woman who was actually shot by someone. I'm
Right.
outraged at the very least that someone on this night shot her for what amounts to no reason at all. Um, there's no way to jokingly shoot someone. I don't. I ain't never heard about nobody laughing after being shot at. And so, you know, the fact that their fixation, particularly men's fixation and outrage, is with the idea that she may have done something with him or not, and that's where their focus uh, is frustrating because they have the ability to believe that she may have done something with Tory, but not the ability to believe that Tory may have shot her. And so uh that juxtaposition for me is definitely a point of frustration because uh Megan has not been allowed to be a victim and simply a victim of violence, which she was. I want to touch on what Andrea asked. I'm going to post it again
Okay.
just so we can see it. Uh,
Okay.
can you take some time to educate the public on DNA,
Okay.
GSR, perjury, and the difference between reasonable doubt and a shadow of a doubt? All this misinformation from Tory's team has confused so many. We can start with the DNA. I know that Tory had Tory called a DNA expert. Tory's the defense called a DNA expert to the stand on Friday. And do you recall what the testimony was in that?
Right. He was saying that there was he couldn't exclude Tory from being one of the people. There was a mixture of
Mhm.
DNA on the gun. He can't exclude Tory, but that for sure, if Tory shot the gun, in his opinion, as a paid expert by Tory,
Right.
that Tory's DNA should definitely be on the gun if he shot the gun. Um, okay, it's fine. I mean, absolutely, since the whole, CSI and everything, the jury loves DNA evidence. So I think as a defense attorney, you absolutely, if you can, call a DNA expert, call them. You know what I mean? But I think the issue is that it doesn't, there's touch DNA, there's different types of DNA. It doesn't, and again, he's saying, I'm not excluding Tory from being one of the people whose DNA is on the gun. I just feel, in my opinion, it should be more prominent for sure if Tory shot the gun. The issue is multiple people could have touched the weapon, and so there's not enough for them to say oh, there's only one set of DNA, so it's mixed together. So
Mhm.
maybe the driver touched the gun, maybe somebody else touched, maybe whoever gave Tory the gun touched it earlier that day. We don't know how many people had their hands on the gun,
Mhm.
so that's essentially what the expert is saying. He's not excluding Tory from a person who could have shot the gun, which is an important distinction to make. And I hope that wasn't lost on the jury. With respect to GSR, I am not a fan of GSR. It's tough for me as a defense attorney because if you shot the gun, if you were near the gun, if you were shot,
Mhm.
you're gonna have GSR. You're gonna have gunshot residue on you
Residue on
because
you.
it's like it's gunshot residue. So it's like when you flush the toilet with no lid
Mhm.
and all the stuff,
Oh,
the
woo,
particles fly.
woo.
It's
Nah,
it's the
sidebar on
same
that though.
thing.
Did y'all see
I
that
just got
study?
freaked
That
out.
was a crazy study, dog. They was talking about
I got
yo,
freaked out when you
this is
said that
this
because
is
I knew what you
why
was talking about.
this is why I always be saying, man, put the damn toilet seat down, right? Because in that I had saw that study and they were trying to figure out, look, y'all, this is a sidebar convo, right?
Sidebar.
Also, black people be knowing other shit than just talking about Tory Lanez. Uh, but like I remember reading an article somewhere talking about the particles, that fecal particles still on people's toothbrushes because when you
Woo.
flush the toilet, I'm just and look, I'm just saying that shit nasty.
They said
Literally,
it could
that
go
shit
like
nasty.
8 feet, yo, 8 to like it. So
Wild.
basically, close your toilet lids when you flush the toilet
Okay,
because,
all right, we old.
like, but I mean, like, basically, the
And
point that is
also hide your
yeah,
toothbrush.
hide your
Cover your
I just,
toothbrush.
toothbrush.
and
Yes,
that's why I
cover
keep
it
the
up,
little thing on the little end of it,
cover it
just
up. Yeah, I
cause
cover my joints too, yo. I cover my joints up.
I
you
mean,
know.
black people, we rinse off our toothbrush before we
Yes,
brush
every
anyway.
time.
So I don't know what
Every
other people do. So I know I be in there rinsing. I never knew why.
so
But
so
I actually, so for me, wait, so I'm going to
I
get this
was
combo real
rinsing,
quick.
but
So
now I know
I literally, so not only do I wash it off, right? I actually hit it with a little hot water just cause, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I also be thinking that, from a cleanliness standpoint, you need a little heat anyway. So now I be thinking like I need to activate that with the toothpaste, and I
why.
need
Okay.
that little water
you
on
gotta
there,
put the
right?
toothpaste
Like
and
Oh,
then
like
you gotta
a
put the heat on it. I
warm
be putting the
I,
heat.
toothpaste with the heat on
I
it
need
too.
all
Yeah, I
that.
ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie. I do that too. I ain't gonna. I hit it with that. Gotta go up under there like that. You know what I mean? Like you got, and it's gonna, the toothpaste gonna get a little flatter, but it's all good though.
It's
You know what I mean? It
warm.
ain't gotta be perfect.
Okay. But
but
yeah, absolutely. The gunshot residue when the weapon is shot, it's just
right,
like that. It flies everywhere.
it's a
So the
cloud of
person
smoke,
who
pretty much.
yes, the person who shot, the person who's being shot, and any person in the vicinity is going to have gunshot residue. So it's not really how it's been characterized in pop culture in terms of GSR. It's been categorized that only the person who shot the gun gets this test and then their hands turn green and boop, you know who's the shooter. So I think now that we're more educated on that actual type of evidence, and hopefully the prosecution is doing their job to bring that out, the fact that Tori has gunshot residue and Kelsey has gunshot residue makes absolute sense because they're both standing in the bathroom with the toilet seat up when the gun gets shot. Okay,
Exactly. That's what she.
so
Boom. Look, you see how she brought it all together? That's exactly boom. Hey, Sue Ann Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. You see what are we talking about here? But no, that's exactly the point that was being made, and the same is true with DNA evidence. Like obviously, DNA uh, has a it has a sensational attachment to it
got us in
because
a chokehold.
right, you know what I mean. It's something that we think we need in order to either prove or disprove something a lot of times, and the fact that it was inconclusive certainly doesn't mean that Tory didn't have the gun. And in many cases, uh, I believe I looked up the statistics. Approximately 70% of the cases, and firearm instances come back with inconclusive evidence as far as DNA is concerned. So the
Right.
majority, over 2/3 of them come back inconclusive. So that
Yeah, the
doesn't
just the
mean, yeah,
material of the weapon does is not congruent to holding on to like skin
yeah,
and the DNA. So that's not a thing that is going to hold DNA. Like maybe if there's some sort of leather handle, the person's sweating. Like there's so many factors. So you're right. Yeah.
Right. So when you take all of those things into consideration, like, and as Suan also highlighted, this is a paid expert. This man was paid to testify on Tory's behalf. And so those are the things that we also must understand about experts. This person was brought forth for the purpose of defending Tory, or to help to create a defense for Tory. And while they may be presenting it honestly, they may also be stating it in a manner that is for the purpose of confusing lay people. Uh, if I say something is inconclusive to a layperson, that might mean, oh, well, then there's no proof that is,
That's right.
that he
That's
handled the
right.
weapon if it's inconclusive. When in actuality, majority of instances where a gun has been handled uh, would have inconclusive and could have multiple uh, DNA specimens on it. It depends on if people are, heavy shedders or light shedders, and there's so many factors that go into that. And so, it's hopefully not something that a jury would weigh more than eyewitness testimony, physical evidence of there being bullet fragments in someone's body, um, you know, and other circumstantial evidence that, when compounded with this, tells a story and presents a timeline that makes it clear that something occurred with that Megan Thee Stallion was shot by someone on that night. And if there are three people in the car, one in the front, two in the back, one saying I didn't shoot him
No,
and
it was
saying,
four because where the driver at?
"Oh, I thought that's it, yeah, because you're right. I'm counting three as not in Megan. I'm not counting Megan as one of the people
Oh,
in
okay,
the car.
okay. Oh, three other people got you.
Yeah. So yeah, wherever the hell
But
the
in that,
driver is, I think the driver is in what's the name of the place? Everybody,
Morocco?
no, what's the place in Mexico everybody be going to?
Cabo,
No.
Tulum?
See,
no,
yes, he black in Tulum.
Tulum.
That's what he in
Hey,
Tulum right now.
no, but my only thing is though is that in the video we showed last week, CJ, I think on Friday,
Yeah.
we saw Kelsey in the video. We thought was Tory Lanez and Megan, who you didn't see get out the truck in that video, was the driver. That's why everybody's forgetting about the driver because nobody has seen this dude really,
Yeah.
or this person. I mean, in terms of like in that video, because if everybody
Mhm.
had to get out the car, right, and the police are like, "Hey, everybody get out the car, put your hands up, get on the ground." Like literally, even if we rolled that video footage back right now, there was still there wasn't a fourth person. So like,
Right.
where did Buddy go? You know what I mean? Once when the shooting happened, did he like take off? Was he
Right.
like, bro, I don't get paid enough for this, bro? I drive. You know what I'm saying? So look,
Black
right? This
Twitter,
supposed to
you
be
have an assignment tonight.
Find the
where
Black
driver.
is the
Twitter,
driver at?
where the driver at? Y'all found puffy baby
Hashtag
mamas.
right.
Y'all found all kind of stuff. We need the driver. Okay.
Hashtag where the driver is.
Where
No,
the
for real.
driver at?
Cause we
Where
Y'all
the
even
y'all
driver?
tweet
so
that out there. Y'all tweet that out there in the Twitter atmosphere. Hashtag
yeah,
where the
man.
driver is.
Yeah,
I'm,
where
I'm,
Buddy
I'm,
at though? Buddy ain't. We ain't hear a word from Buddy. I don't even know if they even brought up if he had a statement to the police. I feel like that would have been an important statement. This goes back to the defense attorney questioning the detective like, so y'all didn't do a thorough investigation. So you interview who you want to interview. You ask the question you want to ask to get to whatever answer you want to get to. And this goes back to really Buddy in the war again, right? Like they just like throwing a bunch of stuff out there, and I'm not look, y'all. This is me just um trying to make sure that we can kind of cover and turn over every rock we can turn over. So when people hear the verdict, they know that when they came to Black People Be Knowing and they was talking to Cirilo, Sue, and CJ, they know that hey, they went over all this shit. And so just want y'all to know that, for me personally, while I'm playing devil's advocate, I truly believe Tory Lanez ass should be going to jail. But while we here giving legal analysis, we can't
Right.
escape the fact that we got to actually talk about the various pieces of testimony and evidence that will be presented and has been presented. And as we get into closing arguments, what's going to be happening and how those arguments are going to be kind of begin to take shape. And so that's why we are kind of hitting on these points here, folks.
I
And so we,
wanna.
but
Oh, go ahead,
go ahead.
Willow. I
Now,
was
about
gonna.
to say though, but with that being said, though,
Mhm.
hashtag what a damn drive at. Where
Look
Listen,
is
at
the driver, dog?
what a
Where the
driver
driver
at.
at?
So so I want to touch more on Andre's question.
okay.
She also asked about perjury, which obviously that came up a lot as far as Kelsey is concerned, and people have been fixated with it because Kelsey definitely, if she didn't outright lie on the stand, which I think there may have been some instances where she did, she certainly was unresponsive to things that she seemed to have knowledge about previously. But as far as this trial is concerned, this is Tory Lanez's trial. He's the one on trial currently, and
That
so
part.
they're not going to attempt to focus in on her lying to prove she's a liar from the standpoint of it being something that's presented as substantive evidence in this case. And so if they were to, and a lot of times they don't even charge people with perjury, even when they
And yeah, like 99.999% of the time. I mean, think about all the times we've had police officers tell bullface lies on the stand. Like,
right.
you know,
Thank you.
perjury and perjury is super hard to prove, especially when you're dealing with an eyewitness because of perspective.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I mentioned police officers, but they actually lie in the sense they'll say ABC happened, and then we'll see the body cam, and it was XYZ. You'd be like,
Right.
that is
Like,
not perjury
like,
to me.
bruh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like these motherfuckers, they creative writers out here. Like
And
they,
then
this
and then you
this is a
start
work of fiction.
well, I'm about to say, then you start asking questions like, "Hey man, how long you been on the force?" 11 years. Okay, 11 years. So how many times you came up with this report? Was this your first report, or how many reports have you actually written up? Oh, I written up hundreds of them. Okay, so then you know exactly what we talking about here. So why in the hell did your camera say this and your report said that? I mean, were you there or were you not there? Are
Right.
you trying to, bro? Bro, police be doing the most, bro.
Right.
Like the most.
Let's
I
say bad
mean,
ones, bad ones.
the most,
Right.
boy. They be thinking ooh. I ain't gonna lie. I love. Let me tell you something. What I love when they begin to ask these questions. How long you been on the force? Because you already know what's coming. We about to impeach your ass. We about to
Oh,
get to the
okay.
point of, oh, so you certified. You've been doing this a
Camp in the
lot.
street.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Come on now, talk to us.
And
You know
still
what I mean? Talk
and
your
still
shit.
out your still out your fucking up. So
Right.
look, she the last thing that she asked about was between a reasonable doubt,
Oh,
the
okay.
difference between a reasonable doubt and a shadow of doubt. If you'd like to take
Okay.
that, I pass that one to you because
Okay. Shadow of a doubt is something that is discussed in black church. You know, that's not really a legal standard. We know the Lord loves us without a shadow of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like on everything, when people say on their mama, that's beyond a shadow of a doubt.
oh,
Okay? Reasonable doubt means a doubt that's based on something reasonable. It's not possible doubt. Like, is it possible that Barack and Michelle could pop up on this live right now and start spitting about the Tory Lanez trial? It's possible because they got phones. CJ could send them the link. He could really know them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's absolutely possible as hell. But is it reasonable that Michelle and Barack gonna pop up on this live?
nah,
No, it's
nah.
not
They,
reasonable.
I think they got better shit to do.
You know what I mean? So is it possible
Well,
that Kelsey got body got taken over by aliens that day and she really shot Megan and forgot, and then Tori grabbed the gun after the shooting? That's why his DNA was on it, and then the driver got teleported to the Star Wars data.
Come on, law school fact pattern. Come on,
It's
law school
possible,
fact pattern.
right? I
but is
mean,
that
they
shit
can.
reasonable though?
It's not reasonable. It got to be reasonable. And that's why the defense is working so hard with the spaghetti on the wall defense, because they're going to say all these things, these are reasonable doubts. The fact that Kelsey is in here asking for immunity and pleading the fifth and this and that means something. It's like it means a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
But is it reasonable that it means Tori ain't shoot Megan? Is
right.
really the question. And so, I'm with the shadow of a doubt, reasonable doubt. I don't do them type of arguments just because I be having better ones.
Yes.
But
Please
reasonable
let
doubt
it.
is a legal standard. Shadow of a doubt is Something else.
Church standard. Yeah, as a church
That's
standard. You know
that's
what I
the
mean?
that's the street
That's
standard.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Like, look, that's the way, folks. When you feel about something, without a shadow of a doubt, man, I love it. Without a shadow of a doubt, man, y'all know I wasn't there. You know what I mean? That sounds like somebody when you caught somebody doing something in the street. Yo, but stop playing without a shadow of a doubt, bro. You know I was. You knew that wasn't me, man. Come
Without
on,
a
man.
shadow of a doubt, black
Right.
men don't cheat. You know, things
Without
like
a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, shots
Without a
fired.
shadow of a
Hold
doubt.
on, I need to sound the alarms on that one. Hey, listen, but for real though, for real, like that
but is it reasonable that they don't?
is it
I don't
reasonable?
know. Is it
I,
Listen,
reasonable?
I'm
you
trying to tell
know,
y'all that's the thing that's scary about this trial is it's a lot of people that are unreasonable. Like, and it's highlighted. It's the same level of unreasonableness, and Cirilo and I talked about this.
whew,
We've seen the same level of unreasonableness exhibited here as was exhibited with R. Kelly. Um, when people, you know, what I mean, like it's the story is repeatedly told. R. Kelly did this. Multiple women are saying this. There is literally video footage of R. Kelly doing this, and there are people saying, "But what if he didn't do it? These girls lying. These girls fast. They mama knew." You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
like
right, right,
what are we talking about? Like, but he
right.
did it though. Like, and and so that's what
Is it
we're trying to
possible
get at
that
with.
there's some conspiracy, against R. Kelly to, take him down because he has too much record sales or whatever?
Yes,
I guess,
because
but is
he
that
was
shit
finna, because he was fixing to buy Cartoon Network. Like, like man,
reasonable?
I don't.
That
You
isn't
know what
that
I'm
way.
saying?
I admit it. I admit it. I admit it. I did it. Like, bruh,
Right, like, and
I
come out with an
can't.
album. Say
I
you
still can't
did
get over
it.
that dude, bro. And I can't get over that dude came out that album while in jail talking about I admit it. But he admitting the fact that everybody else wronged him, but he ain't wrong anybody. He ain't do
So,
nothing wrong. That's I'm telling you, I'm telling you, if y'all I'm glad to take that damn album down because he shouldn't get any
oh, so
play.
they took the
But
album down. Okay.
oh, what dog? When that jump went on Black Twitter and Boosie started talking about it, Boosie in the car playing, he listened to it, vibing to it, people
Oh,
going off, right? And then I look back and I see another tweet and somebody said, Law Black Twitter and the guy R. Kelly taken down. Like literally, they took it. I don't know if Apple and Spotify removed it. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess like you can let like if you're an artist and you got a portal system and you got a record label, the
They can
anybody can
upload
put
it.
anything. Yeah, they can upload it. But I think whatever it caught wave, it was just enough time for whoever, because it was like R. Kelly put out an album. Everybody wanted to go listen to it. People wanted to hear it because it was the admitted, I did it part one, two, three, right?
mm.
And then within like I would say an hour, not even an hour, it was gone. Like that shit was off. Like it was all Spotify and iTunes like immediately. You know what I mean? Or Apple Music,
He
whatever you
Right,
want
he
to say.
lost me at marrying Aaliyah with a fake
right,
uh ID. He lost me at that. I
right.
was like,
Marrying Aaliyah with the fake ID, coming out with the rodeo show, talking about show me your ID, please, before I go in deeply. Come on, dog. When I started going back, I was in the sixth or seventh grade when that shit came out. You know what I'm saying? I'm singing that shit just like everybody else. But
right,
as I became an adult and began to understand, like, damn, these songs are about young
his
girls, right?
lifestyle.
Right. This makes me uncomfortable now. And I know went off on a tangent, but
We did.
the tangent was for an important purpose, and the purpose was to talk about what is reasonable and what is
Right.
unreasonable. When you look at the weight of the facts, when you look at the weight of the evidence, or what was the evidence left wanting for more? Uh, you know, is they don't have to literally prove that they don't have to put the smoking gun in a person's hands per se. Uh, they have to utilize facts that connect to one another in such a way that tells a story that that makes sense, and a jury has to determine whether or not, based on the way that these facts connect themselves up, uh, this is something that they believe did or did not happen in the way in which it was presented.
I got one more question
Uh huh.
because I think it's an important question here. Is we talking about all this evidence, we gotta attach it to something. There are elements involved in this assault, right? And I think that maybe because I gotta jump off, but this is the last question I ask y'all, then I'm out, right?
Okay.
Is knowing the facts that we know right now, that what's been admitted in evidence, as much as we can like think about, right? I want y'all to kind of take a second to kind of break down California law, right, as it pertains to assault, and what the prosecution needs to do going forward to prove, like maybe element by element, so people understand like where we're at. And I guess because I think part of the misinformation and all this stuff going out there is that there's so many facts right now, and there's like this person said that, that person said that, but like they're elements, and the prosecution needs to meet those elements beyond a reasonable doubt, folks, in order to convict Tory Lanez of assault under California law. And so before I go, my question to y'all is: can it line up? What are the elements? If it does line up, you know what I'm saying, blase, blase. And thank y'all so much, y'all, for viewing Black People Be Knowing. This is your boy Cirilo, man. Follow me across all social media platforms. Y'all see it right there. Also, if y'all just jumping on, obviously we discussing the Tory Lanez case right now. So please share it in your networks. Thank y'all as always for chiming in. And I'm out, man. Y'all be good, man.
Peace, Rillo. We'll holler at you, brother. And
Bye.
so I'm gonna let you take that question that he had because I was over here looking at Megan Kunis page trying to see. I'm trying to see if
If
they done started this shit. I'm
if
like,
they
damn, what
started
time is
yet?
starting? Like the West Coast, I mean, West Coast be throwing me off because our
Yeah.
time it's afternoon over here.
Right.
So
We ready. We about ready for that second wave of coffee. It's second
right,
Starbucks run. It's
right.
time.
So
Essentially, the state is going to have the burden of proving that Tory is the one that effectuated the assault, and that the assault or the bottle or the touching, which is the shooting, happened without Megan's consent. And I think all the facts and everything that's been being thrown around, how it plays into the defense is that the evidence that the state is presenting to prove that Tory is the person who in fact shot Megan includes testimony, which is a type of evidence. And they're trying to tell the jury through introducing inconsistencies in the testimony that they shouldn't rely on the testimony of Megan, on the testimony of Kelsey. Maybe I don't remember them really cross-examining the medical doctor too much, but they're trying to insert doubt
oh, I don't know what happened with the audio. Can you hear me?
is continuing to deal with what their defense is. That's basically their defense. Listen, don't listen to what these women are saying. Tory didn't do it.
Right.
That's their defense. And the state has to prove who the person is. So that kind of goes to Tory's song that he made saying, "Oh, Megan couldn't see me because her original." She said that um, she was facing away from the person who shot her, and Kelsey said the same. Like she was facing away, and then the shots came from behind. So the issue is Megan has testified that look, she knows Tory shot her. Tory is the one who yelled out "dance,"
Hmm.
and it's the jury has the opportunity, their job, it's their purview to weigh the evidence and decide what they're going to use to come to the conclusion of the case.
Right. Absolutely. So um when y'all look at that, I mean, again, as Suan stated, you got a victim's testimony stating this is what occurred. You got an eyewitness's testimony, and I would, if I'm a juror, if I'm a juror, I'm listening to what they said in September more than what they said on the stand. And I'm talking about Kelsey's testimony. I would
Mm-hmm.
find her September testimony more reliable as a juror than anything she was doing uh, on last week.
Right.
Um, I would lean into that, coupled with what the doctor stated about there actually being bullets found in her foot that they got out. So these are the things that I would be looking at as a juror. Um, I think that as a defense attorney, I probably would have focused more on Kelsey's dishonesty, but not from the standpoint of trying to focus in on what she said in September. I would have just focused in on her being elusive that day. And if I was going to lean into the whole concept of her being the one who did it, then I would have said, well, you're being elusive today because you did it. But I'm sure that, but that's not the, I'm not the type of defense. I'm not like the type of defense attorney. I'm not like the makeup of defense attorney. You know
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally trying to make sense of whatever it is that the facts are that someone
Mm-hmm.
brings to me. I'm
Right.
not trying to. like confuse, uh, especially in a lot of the murder trials, for instance, that I've been in have been, trials where people came to me with a self defense claim. So, if you have a self defense claim, then what we're going to present to the jury is that you did kill someone. You know, but we're going to have to make it make sense to them why that occurred, and that's the way that I'm going to present my case in chief and present my theory of the case. With the prosecution, it seems that they already tried to not the prosecution, but the defense, they tried to try this in the court of public opinion first with the notion that uh, Megan wasn't shot or that it wasn't bullets in her feet. And then, they came back recently and have been approaching it with the theory of the case of you can't prove that it was Tory that shot her. Maybe it was Kelsey that shot her. And so they're now acknowledging that she was shot, but uh saying that, I mean, because that was not a theory that I had heard up until this week. Was that something
Right.
that? Well, I mean, I guess I did see it on the
Um,
shade room or something like that.
Yeah, there was theories that, it was something between Kelsey and Megan and that Tori got caught up in it, or that it was over Tori somehow, like they were fighting over Tori. Which is interesting in terms of trying to place the gun on Kelsey based on, our conjecture about their relationships and their involvement. As opposed to, as you said, your point in the beginning, which was as opposed to allowing Megan to be the victim of a crime, to be someone who was shot, and
Mhm.
say, okay, she got shot. Let's focus on who harmed her, who hurt her. It's like, why is, the court of public opinion so vested in disproving what she says,
Right.
disproving what she says?
Mhm.
Which only happens honestly with black victims.
Yes. Black women
Even black
particularly.
victims of black women for sure, and definitely, even in our police cases where
Right.
officers do XYZ, the media spends all this time trying the person that
Mhm.
got killed by the police in the court of public opinion. Oh, when he was in kindergarten, he used to spit on the
Yes.
ground. He used to skip school. There was marijuana in his system. There's always
Yes.
marijuana in the system. Like, it's
Right.
like, okay,
Right.
got it. But the
Right.
police still shot an unarmed person.
Yes.
Like, let's
Assassinate the body
focus
and
on
then assassinate the character. Like,
right.
like that's damn you absolutely right when you highlight it that way. Like when you break it down that way, like that's exactly what it seems like, to the point that Megan is saying to, I wish he would have killed me. Like that's a deep ass statement for
Right.
a woman who many of us perceive as at the pinnacle of, like she's a
Of her
young
success.
20-year old, 20 something woman who is literally at the top of success in her
Hmm.
field. And the way that this situation has made her feel is like she would rather not be here because of what she's endured as a result of it than to, to continue being here. And that's pretty heavy when you really put it into consideration. But I I think that for me, um, the mentality of some of the just folks who have been observing this case and don't have the ability to humanize Megan Thee Stallion and not simply look at the celebrity of it all,
Hmm.
and 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 just say, hey, like this is a woman who was traumatized, like, to the point where, if I haven't heard the Drake album, you know what I'm saying, but I heard that was a line in it that was, whether it directly alluded to Megan or indirectly did so, uh, it was dismissive of what actually occurred with her. And the idea that someone who would be her peer would uh, make light of the situation for no uh, at least reason that I'm aware of, it
Hmm.
seems it seems to kind of fly in the face of, you know, this whole notion that we are down to protect black women. Like, are we for real about that? Because if we're about that, then we can. hear this woman's story, we can see her injuries, and we can acknowledge that something happened to her that shouldn't have happened to her, and that
Mhm.
she's the one in this instant who deserves justice. Um, like that's not to say that the goal is to go on a witch hunt and to just get anybody to to
Mhm.
to to give her justice, but it is first and foremost this woman deserves justice, and she's saying this is who harmed her. I'm not going to uh, dismiss that because I am so invested in either being right or in my fandom of this particular person that I cannot perceive that this person is potentially or possibly capable of doing the harm that this woman said was done to her. So
Right. Right.
yeah, I think that's pretty much where I am with it. I wanted to see what Megan Cuniff, who they've started calling Megan the reporter, uh, is said on Twitter about today's
Oh,
trial.
in a long
I'm
time.
trying to see. Yeah. So as of right now, it still looks like they still coming into the courtroom and stuff. Like there's not, it hadn't, the
We
trial
haven't
hadn't
started.
started yet. So
Okay.
I think now's a good time for, at the very least, we can wrap today. And
Okay.
you always welcome. I love when Sue Ann is on. This is, Black People Be Knowing is something that we're trying to really get started between Sue Ann, myself, April, and Cirilo. It's something that we really are excited about doing with y'all because I think we um, approach talking about law and pop culture and things like that a little differently than a lot of people do. But
Right.
yeah, I mean,
I
we can come back
appreciate
and do
you
it again.
having me.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
we can
Oh,
once we get more news today, we can come back later. We can come back tomorrow, and because Black people be knowing.
Black people be knowing. Hey, y'all, we out. We'll holler at y'all soon. Peace.
Bye.